What's going on, my crew? This is Jay. Welcome to another episode of the Dark Trilogy, and welcome to the first recording that is the progressive style of recording that I'm doing. For those of you that don't know what that means that I am recording and then going off camera and doing stuff and then recording again, basically showing you guys the important stuff that I do, which is more of a let's play style, I think. So, what are we going to be doing today in this episode? Well, in this episode, I'm going to be grabbing some of these ME cables, and we're going to be accessing our ME drive that we built last time, which we need this ME terminal to access. These things all need logic processors, which aren't too difficult to make. We've made them before. It just requires us to get printed, look on the end printed logic circuits. But the one thing that I don't know about is the power issue here. So let's go upstairs and do a little bit of a talk, because I don't know if it just needs power or if it actively uses power. One of the things that we're going to be, that I want to be able to have with the ME drive is I want to be able to have these little terminals literally all across the area. So you guys see we have 1K storage. Now I believe this is hooked up with power already. Yes, it is already hooked up with power. And what I wanted to see is if this is actively taking out power. It's not. So one of the things we need to look for is when we use our ME drive, does it use any power when we start storing stuff in there? Now, it may be that because we don't have anything stored in there, it's not actually being activated, but I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work. A little bit of info on this drive. So, you notice that we have a certain amount of bytes. So each item counts as a byte. We can have 63 or 64 because it starts with 0. 64 types of items. 64 being a stack of items, I believe. I don't think we can go up any more than a stack unless we do more drives. So you'll notice that all of these have just increased the bytes used. So for instance, this one will only allow us to store, maybe we can only store, no, I think we can only store 64 of that item. So multiply 64 by the amount of types, right? I think that's correct. This will allow us to have, I believe, more than 64. So 128 or something, or probably 4 times as much. But you'll notice that we can still only store 63 or 64 items. So it's going to be easier for what we're doing right now to just keep using these 1K ME storage. Now, if we're going to be storing things like cobblestone and stuff like that, that's when we want to upgrade to those higher level upgrades. So I need to get this stuff to make the terminal. Thaumcraft today. Really getting all out of these, whatever they're called. We need, whatever panel we need. There's an original, this one right here, the illuminated panel, which is light stone, iron, and quartz glass. Now the quartz glass I don't have made up, so I'm going to do that off camera. The important thing that we need is the fluix dust. But by the way, I've been saying this wrong the entire time. It's fluix, not flux. And then we need a charged quartz, or normal quartz actually. The biggest thing that we're going to need is the logic processor here, which isn't really that hard. So all we need to do is put 2 of these in here, and that should give us the dust we need, right? Yes? Good. Now the question I had is, can we make seeds out of this? No. Let me look up fluix and see. Okay, so you can make fluix. Right, you need sand to make fluix seed. But that's going to be an important part that I think is going to be the next phase, because we don't want to keep having to make these. If we look under applied energistics, Energistics 2, right? Yes. Applied Energistics 2. This guy right here, no. Which one is it? The seed. Seed. Where is it? One of these things, like incubator or something like that. Crystal growth accelerator right here. It's pretty expensive, but this guy right here, we might actually be able to build it pretty soon. Does in theory allow us to get more growth in our crystals. I don't know exactly how it works, but let's work at one thing at a time, right? Okay. So we need to get our panel going, and we got our... Shoot. I'll grab that later. Let's get the actual panel working, which we need iron. And let me see. What was that recipe again? Glowstone, redstone, and quartz. We got glowstone, we got redstone. We just need the quartz glass. And that is in here. Okay. So, do. That. And iron. 3 illuminated thingy-bobs. Just gonna kind of throw... Oh, yeah, I got more yellow right. That way I didn't have to worry about any more of that. I do need to go back into the cave and just freaking take as much as I possibly can out of that. Hey, everybody texting me. So, now, we need to go back upstairs and get the fluix dust, because we're going to need some of these. So let's get the logic processors and being inscribed. This is going to take a little bit of time. It's time to make this guy right here. So we need these formation core thingy-mabobs. And we can actually, we probably will have enough, besides needing another logics processor, we might have enough to make 2 of these. So that's a annihilation core. That's a strong name for a stupid little core thing. Alright, let's put this here, this here, this here, and like I said, we could make 2 if we wanted to, but it's not really worth the effort. So, we got diamonds, we got emeralds. This can kind of be our test to see if this thing actually works. Then, I believe, our next phase in this is hooking up. Okay, so, it needs power. It should have power, though. Let's find out what's going on here. I need this guy. Find out why exactly we do not have... Aha! So it's not hooking up with the RF. Where is my wrench? Because that, I think, is going to need to be how we hook it up. Now, we know it hooks up to RFs. So... My bad. I'm sorry. That shouldn't have happened. Hopefully it'll work. Now, if this doesn't work, there is an alternate route. What I'm thinking it may need, and I hope to God it doesn't, but it may need AE stored energy. In which case, that would really stink, because we're going to need to make these energy cells here. And I don't know how this is supposed to be powered. I don't know if we can power it with RF and convert it over to AE. But, I mean, it doesn't look that difficult if we do need to do that. We can probably still do it in this episode. But I want to try and see if this will work first. So, hook this. Oh, no, that is not what we wanted to do. Holy cow. Let's get that out of the inventory and that out of the inventory and collect our things. Okay. So, this does not hook up. Uh-oh. No, we want it to connect this. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's connecting up. Okay. So let's double back our efforts. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go into Creative World, and I'm going to see if the AE energy is stored, or can store RFs, sort of as a conversion before we make this machine. I wanted to show you guys what I had set up here to kind of test this and figure this out. So I looked up a lot of things online, and a lot of them were, I don't know, really confusing. This is one of the reasons why I want to start doing tutorials, just because, you know, the stuff online is great, but it's not as thought out as like Dire Wolf and stuff, and I just feel like people need to do better tutorials. Anyways, that being said, I've got a resonant energy cell hooked up, which obviously this is basically our big reactor here, and it's hooked up to this ME controller. Now, anytime we want to access this terminal, we can go ahead and turn on this switch that's hooked up to the energy conduit here, and this will turn our ME controller on, which will allow us to access our stuff. Then when we're done, we can turn this off. That way it doesn't take power. From what I saw, this takes like 1 or 2 AE per tick, and this takes 6 AE per tick. We don't want that. Not at all. That's some crazy talk. Now, this ME controller isn't that difficult to make. I just popped it out of my inventory. Oops. We need just R. There we go. We will need a energy processor, or engineering processor, which isn't that difficult. We've made this the printed energy circuit, or engineer circuit before. We just need to mix it with silicon. And then what we'll have is we need pure flux crystals. Okay, so pure drop flux fluix seed made from fluix dust and sand into a puddle of water to make the process faster. Add crystal growth accelerators. Now, crystal growth accelerators, okay, so it looks like we're gonna need, do we absolutely have to have pure fluix? Shoot. Looks like we have skystone blocks also. Okay. Let's look up the accelerators here. Now, as I said prior, let's look up accelerators. Crystal growth accelerator. Okay, so I guess what I want to do then, let's build the crystal growth accelerator and start from there. I'm gonna look up how to use this too. So that's where we're at right now. But we're very, very close. All we need is to be able to access this ME controller, and then we'll be good to go. Just as a side note, what I want to do in the future is I want to have a few of these set up. And actually, we're going to have 3 set up. And the way it's going to work is we'll have 3, well, if it's flipped around, 3 terminals here that we can work with. And these are all going to be, you know what, let me set it up right, so you guys see a better example of how I want to set it up. Okay. We're going to have 3 terminals next to each other. And let me see, one thing I'm curious about, actually, we can use different colored ones. So if we look up this glass cable here, we can have an orange glass cable, a magenta, and a blue. And the way we work it is we hook up all these, one here, one here, one here, all these to one spot, right? And then what's going to happen is, let's say we want to access, this will be our blocks. So this will go to an ME drive that's like got tons of storage like this one does. So whenever we want to get blocks, we'll just go bam. Okay, terminal. This one might be our valuables. So we'll be able to go in here and collect any valuables we need. Same thing for this. We're going to have one of these on each floor. That way we never, ever, ever have to worry about going down to the basement and getting something. Maybe we'll even have one that's a smaller one just for tool storage. And that way we can always, always, always have tool storage. We don't have to worry about putting our tools away in a specific area. So this is sort of the thing that we are looking to go towards, which means we're going to need a lot of fluix crystals and stuff like that. Okay, so we got everything we need. This is going to be, we're making the growth thingy. Oh, yeah. We needed to build ourselves this guy, the thing. And then I got the quartz glass for these 2 spots, and then the ME cable for these 2 spots, and then we got the growth crystal thingy bob here. Now I don't know how this works. Okay, so maybe this needs power. Let's assume. I hate these carpenter doors. You know, these carpenter doors are one of these things where I like it and I don't like it, and we have a love-hate relationship. Now, does that connect? No. So maybe device offline. You gotta be kidding me. This is actually a very bad thing, because if this needs the power for AE, just like the ME drive, we're screwed. We're gonna have to wait. Now, in saying that, put the door back. In saying that, we need a better source of food. This is crazy. What we can do until then is we can convert all these into the seeds, and they just basically sit in water. Okay, so we do this, and we get 2 flux seeds, and it's just gonna take forever to get the pure flux. Let me make sure we're doing this right. Drop a fluix seed made from flux dust and sand into a puddle of water. Make the process go faster. Add crystal growth accelerators, which are these. So I think those go near it, at least for the future. But this is literally going to take for an eternity of time. But pretty soon, all this stuff right here is going to be compacted down into the ME drive, as well as a few other things that I'm not able to fit there. Then I think we can hook up. I don't think we can hook it up directly, but there is a where is it? The IO port, I believe, is what it is. That's gonna allow us to hook that into the applied energistics Ender IO system. So we hook that up directly, and then that'll go right into the ME drives, and we'll be good to go. So in theory, we should be all right. It's gonna be a long walk, but we'll be okay. So that's gonna do it for today's episode, you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, happy mining and crafting.